Welcome to Everything Co-op, bringing you information on how cooperatives can help improve your quality of life. This show is being sponsored by the National Co-op Bank, NCB. The NCB is dedicated to strengthening communities nationwide for the delivery of banking and financial services for the nation's cooperatives, their members, and other socially responsible organizations. For more information on the power of community ownership, visit ncb.coop. That's ncb.coop. Now stay tuned for your host, Vernon Oakes.
We have a delegation from the Philippines, and representing them this morning is Noel Raboy, who is the president and CEO of Climbs, which is a life and general insurance company, and Donna Dizon, who is the CEO of the Co-op College of the Philippines. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Vernon, and to our listeners.
Good. I'm so glad that you're on this morning. So where are you this morning?
We're here in
NCBA CUSA office.
NCBA CUSA office here in Washington. I'm very happy and very thankful also for NCBA CUSA and Miss Kathy and Do, and also the rest of the team, Miss Christine, and my team also from the Philippines.
How many people is in your team?
We are 7 of our team, and some of them also attended the master class, the program in Stanford. Yeah.
Well, before we go to the master class, I'm curious about Climbs. What is this, and how long have you been in business?
Climbs is a cooperative insurance. It spells like Co-op Life Insurance and Mutual Benefit Services way back in 1971. And we changed it to Climbs Life and General Insurance Cooperative because in the Philippines, it allows to have 2 lines of business in one entity. That's life and non-life. So we've been for more than 53 years in the Philippines, owned by the more than 4,000 cooperatives, primaries and secondary cooperatives in the Philippines, serving around 8.8 million policies with an impact of around 25 million Filipinos that availed our insurance program. Most of that is the micro insurance, and right now we also have the Climbs Weather Protect insurance for our farmers using parametric insurance, science data-based.
So, Noel, you said 8.8 million something. I didn't get what you were saying. What was that? I heard 2.5 million people. 8.8 million what?
Yeah, the 8.8 million are individual insured by Climbs. So, when you talk about population in the Philippines of 105 million, so the unique individual insured with our policyholders is around 8.8 million. So if you're going to put that in an average also of the size of the Filipinos, so it's something 34 million bigger than how we support our cooperative insurance program using the cooperative model.
Okay. And Donna, would you explain to us what is the Co-op College of the Philippines, and you are the chief executive officer of that?
Yeah, hi again, Vernon, and to all the viewers and listeners to your program. So the Cooperative College of the Philippines is an affiliate of Climbs. So it started as a unit in the Climbs, of course, teaching our cooperative members and leaders on risk mitigation until it evolved into more of the management and leadership role, providing this education to the cooperative leaders. So it has instituted, it was pivoted to the COP College of the Philippines when we visited the Cooperative College in UK back in 2019. So we wanted to mirror that and see for ourselves as well that the cooperative education is really very important, and we don't want it to be missed by our cooperative leaders in the Philippines and the young and emerging leaders. So that is primarily the reason why we put, premium on setting up the college.
Fantastic. And that is the fifth principle of the 7 cooperative principles, which is
That's right.
education, training, and information. And that's the reason I first caught my attention and where I started liking or loving the co-op model is because of the education piece of it. My mother was a school teacher, and I've taught 12 years out of my life, and I've got a couple master's degrees. I like knowledge being transferred. Whether I'm learning or I'm helping to teach somebody something, I think I'm always learning. Okay, so do you give a degree or a certificate? Do you give a 2-year degree or 4-year degree in the college?
So it's kind of unique because we wanted to have the values, cooperative values and principles of being part of the curriculums that we offer. So we do not have that certification to produce a degree program, but we partnered with academic institutions that can deliver that. We just want to make sure, so here's the difference, Vernon, we just want to make sure that the cooperative values and principles are embedded in all of the program offerings that we have. So that's...
Okay, and I have it that a co-op is a co-op if it's using the values and principles of cooperation. I don't care what they call themselves, but it's a co-op if they're under those values and principles.
Yeah.
I particularly like the ethical values of honesty, openness, social responsibility, and caring for others. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Noel, you said that you all started in 1971. You're at 4,000 cooperatives now. How many co-ops started Climbs?
It started in the southern part of the Philippines by three federations, Camiguin, Bukidnon, and Misamis Oriental Federation of Co-op. So it's around 15 primary cooperative federations. And because at the time in 1971, I'm not yet born by the time, but I can see also the access of insurance for the grassroots, especially those who in the marginalized sector has this problem in the access and affordability because co-op sometimes way back in that time insurance is just like a taboo. It's difficult to sell, but through the cooperative model, we at the third year of the Climbs, it was a mutual benefit association or MBA, where policyholders and cooperatives are owners of this organization. So they develop a mutual aid system so that in case of untimely death of the member of the cooperative, then we're able to support also the mutual aid. So it started like that in 1971, and it grows as after 50 years we're able to reach the all provinces in the Philippines by this, no? So until now we still maintain our headquarters in southern part of the Philippines, which is Cagayan de Oro.
Okay. I've been to Manila, and Cebu is in the southern part of Philippines, isn't it?
Yeah, Cebu is the central part of the Philippines.
Okay. Well, I've been
In
to
the south.
I've been to Manila and Cebu. I'll have to come over and go south. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Noel, how did you get into this business? What's your background?
I'm a graduate of sociology and anthro in our Xavier University in Cagayan de Oro, Ateneo. And then it's already my passion about insurance and research also. So it's just a time that the Climbs is looking for a human resource, a behavioral science graduate. So I'm able to apply in 2001, and I joined Climbs in 2002 officially. So from that, I rose from the ranks, having a lot of positions in sales and marketing, developing also the Cebu City, as you mentioned. I'm the one also who developed the market in using the cooperative model in Cebu City and nearby provinces, Leyte, Bacolod, Iloilo. So in 2018, I also took the position of the President CEO. I'm a master's graduate in business administration and having also some executive program in other universities local and abroad.
Fantastic. Started at the ranks at 2001 and you became the president of 2018. That's 17 years. That's phenomenal growth. So you must be doing something right. Okay. So, Donna, what about you? How did you become the CEO of the Cooperative College of the Philippines?
Oh yeah, but I guess I'll start first with my just a bit of my co-op journey. So I heard about co-ops when I was in third grade.
What? Wait.
Third grade. It was when there was a local contest, oratorical contest on rural cooperatives. So I think that was the seed that was nurtured in my heart, and going into, as I progressed in my career and entered development work in the early 2000, and then later on joining Climbs. Well, I'm the youngest in the team, in the senior team. I just joined Climbs in 2017. And by then I was already heading the CIFL, the Climbs Institute for Financial Literacy, which started the Co-op College of the Philippines. So, it also evolved over time, and that's I took on also some senior roles in Climbs as vice president. But I was tasked to really oversee the college, so that's my main work.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I got into it. Yeah.
So the financial literacy, was that for members of these 4,000 co-ops?
Yeah, that's right. It's all for the member owners of Climbs, and that was in 2011 that was conceptualized, and it was because of a strong typhoon that also hit the southern part of the Philippines.
Wait a minute, it was because of what?
A strong typhoon.
Typhoon, okay.
Yes, it was unheard of back in before 2011 that our area, the Cagayan de Oro city, will be hit. But I think the international name is Washi. So when that happened, it also gave us the opportunity for Climbs to really set up something and be serious. That Climbs has a business in the industry of insurance, but to further educate our member owners, it needs to really put an investment on education, and as what you said, really have a strong impact on Cooperative Principle 5.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so we all three love co-ops. You from the third grade. I didn't learn about co-ops until I was 45. Nowhere in my education did I hear anything about, in my formal education did I hear about co-ops. I was managing housing co-ops here in Washington, D.C., and I was managing what they call limited equity housing co-ops, and I really like mainly middle-aged senior black women on the board, and they were making extremely intelligent decisions. And I said they didn't have to get the MBA that I got and Noel you got to make these great decisions. And how was that? So I started studying co-ops. And that's why I really like the fifth principle of education, training, and information. And what people also told me was they took that training that they got in how you run a business housing co-op, and they took it into their life. And they did budgeting, for example, where they didn't do it before they learned it in co-ops, or this financial literacy that you were talking about. So, yeah, that was how I began to like co-ops. Now, I'm concerned I'm interested in, you said that some of your delegation of 7 took a master class at Stanford University. That's where I got my MBA. So I'm interested to understand, what was that master class that you all took?
It's just a program for our senior management executive, Vernon, that to upscale also our senior management. So it's really an obligation of the board of directors of Clives and even me as the CEO that we can align also our strategies. So we believe that the Stanford has this very good program on the innovation and environment and organization. So in fact, we are looking for a program that we can connect it with Donna on the College of the Philippines, that we can bring also a very specific focus programs in the cooperative, so that we can bring also our leaders here in in that school for a executive program, maybe 5 days or 3 days. And one thing why Climbs and even Cop College is able to bring leaders here, because in the Philippines, Vernon, we have this very unique regulations that there is a specific regulator for us, the Cooperative Development Authority. In our laws, it is an allocation of from the net surplus of 10%. So from if you have a net surplus of around 100 $100 million, 10% of that will be strictly allocated for education because we are tax exempted. So we see to it also that that portion required by law that we can train, inform, put us in education or for our leaders and our management team of the cooperative. So this is what Donna is doing about the fifth principle of that cooperative co-ops. No?
Okay, so what I understood you to say was that 10% of your profit surplus net goes toward education, toward that fifth principle.
Yes.
Is that all co-ops or just Climbs?
All co-ops in the Philippines. That's part of the regulations. And that regulation is strictly monitored by our regulator. So 50% of the 10% will go to the federation that they will give, and then the 50% will be retained for the co-ops so that they can upscale their members through education. And there's another one also, very unique regulation in the Philippines, Vernon, is of your net surplus, you allocate also 3% that is intended for the community. So the principle of concern for the community is being taken care of that 3%. So that's how vibrant the cooperative movement in the Philippines.
So the fifth principle is education, training, and information. 10% of your net proceeds goes to that. The seventh principle is concern for community, and 3% of all co-ops in the Philippines must put 3% of their net or profit, net proceeds, surplus into helping the community. 3%. Wow. Now, that's a federal law. That's the law of the Philippines.
Yes. It's in the law. If you are a cooperative, registered to the Cooperative Development Authority as a regulator, every year, you have to allocate budget and implement programs that will be approved by the General Assembly. So what we did with our 3%, Vernon, is since there's a need for us for some of the communities in our area in Southern Philippines have problems on potable drinking water. And likewise, we are an insurance, also general insurance. So we allocate 3% to set up our fire station. And we bought 2 fire trucks. And we give daily rationing of the potable drinking water to the communities. While in case of break of fire, we are able to support also our Bureau of Fire Protection. It's a government entity in charge of the protection for outbreak of fire. So, and other community programs, volunteerism programs that we're able to support, no? Like the school, opening of the school. There is what we call the government program of Brigada Escuela. That is school brigade to set up the start of the school. So especially on cleaning, on making conducive for learning of the students. So Climbs and other cooperatives nationwide were able to support that using our 3% community development fund.
Fantastic. Now, that's the fifth and the seventh principle. What do you do in the sixth principle of cooperation among co-ops? Since you have 4,000 co-ops that are in Climbs, they're members, it seems like you could play a very vital role in helping co-ops to support each other. But how do you do that?
Now, this is now the situation in the Philippines using that sixth principle of cooperation among cooperatives. In the Philippines, there are 2 federations. There are primary cooperatives which are owned by individual members. There's also a federation owned by a primary cooperatives. What we are doing is we set up the Philippine Chamber of Cooperatives. You can check in our For our listeners, you can check coopchamberph.org. It is a non-stock organization that focus on pillars on advocacy. We see to it that our voice of our cooperative will be heard when you talk about government regulations, when you talk about support from the government support to the cooperatives, representation of the cooperative sector to some inquiries and even implementation of the laws like taxation, like fisheries and aquatic resources issues, salt industry. So another function also of the Philippine Chamber of Cooperative is about networking. We see to it that products and services will be accounted and available also on how we can support each other towards food security. So this is just a 1 year organization, Vernon, but we look at it that's the missing link on how we can advocate and go down to the level of primary cooperatives that they can be heard. Another function also of the...
Hold 1 minute. No, I want you to come back to that. But before you have a thought, you're at NCBA CLUSA. You're at the National Cooperative Business Association, which used to be called the Cooperative League of the USA, CLUSA, which is our umbrella for the U.S. Doug O'Brien is the CEO there. Have you talked to them about some of these ideas that we could implement here in the U.S.?
Yeah, I'm very thankful to Miss Cathy for connecting us with NCBA CUSA. And I think even though we did not know yet about NCBA CUSA, it validated that what we are doing, the COP Chamber, is like or most likely the same what NCBA CUSA is doing 100 years ago. If I'm correct with how, and then it said the challenges is there just in fact in the Philippine Chamber of Cooperatives because it is not registered to the CDA or our regulator. Even the question of using cooperative is being in question because we registered it as a non-stock, non-profit organization. But these are unclear yet, but I think the learnings of and the researches also and what NCBA CUSA impact to the cooperatives related to advocacy, networking, and voice, we can hope they can support also. It can boost our moral and self-esteem that we will proceed with the Philippine Chamber of Cooperatives. So Philippines is a very diverse and 7,000 islands, more than 7,000 islands. We see to it that by regional representations, co-ops can be reached out to this voice, to these concerns that we have so that we can feedback the government and government also can ask us how they can support the government towards community involvement using cooperative model.
Fantastic. Now, you were getting ready to say something. Sorry, I cut you off. Do you want to go back to that? What you were getting ready to say?
Yeah. The other also function of the COP Chamber is about research data that we can gather from our co-ops, and likewise asking also for first I would like to congratulate with you as the Hall of Famer and hope we can do that also in the Philippines.
Thank you. Thank you.
Our leaders can be recognized also and represent also the trade missions that we can cooperatives will be represented if there are some trade missions by the government, if they will go abroad or some investors will come into the Philippines. And right now, we have some issues related to foreign investors, that foreign investors will be allowed to invest in the cooperatives. So we ask our co-ops on what are their positions on that without violating the values and principles of the co-ops. Mm-hmm. One issue for that is like, if you are an investor, cooperative invested to the co-ops, what will be the model of voting? Because in the cooperative model, one co-op, one vote, one member, one vote, or a maximum of incentive voting, but not share voting. But right now, the mindset of our regulators and other cooperatives, second or third generation cooperatives, they're looking for share voting. So what's the difference now being a corporation if you are using that model? So that's why the engagement that maybe NCBA CUSA has experience to that in advocating to the government regulations and policy. So it can be we can help and ask that it's doing with other countries, because NCBA CUSA is doing also a lot of advocacies and to other countries.
So I had the opportunity to interview a person who got the Hall of Fame. His last name was Arrington. He was a lawyer, but he helped Equal Exchange, which Equal Exchange is a worker co-op, about 150 workers in the U.S., and he helped them to get preferred stock, so they could get capital in through preferred stock, but it was non-voting. Is that the fourth principle that says you have to have, autonomy and independence? So in order to have autonomy and independence, the cooperators have to have that one member, one vote. So, which is the same as the democratic member control. Yeah. So that gets to be interesting, and that's what this Mr. Arrington created, was his preferred stock, because he was an attorney, but he used to be an investment banker also. But Doug O'Brien them would understand all of that, and they can help you with that one. But when you start giving the capitalists voting, then you destroy. Yeah, you destroy the cooperative model in my mind, because you want. And if it's an employee, a worker co-op, you want the workers to have control and voice and say. If it's a consumer co-op, like a credit union or housing, or here it's rural electric, or purchasing or marketing co-op, they're the four that I normally talk about. You all insurance would be a consumer co-op. The people that uses your insurance own clients. So, got it. I want to ask Donna a question. I think you may work with this, Donna, but I understand that Climbs is very active in climate control. So what are you all doing in the climate control arena? And I assume that when you have a typhoon, that Philippines is getting the brunt of the effects of climate control.
So I think it was like the history of Climbs was born out of crisis, and the changing times tells us that we are really bombarded by so many climate change issues, and so we wanted to make a point that the cooperative strength can be harnessed if we have a collective effort on telling the world that, hey, we can produce something, an innovative risk solution.
So, Donna, I'm sorry, let me stop you. We have to take a break.
Yeah.
And when we come back, I want to pick up on this climate change and talk about the other things you're doing for the future. We'll be right back. Please don't touch that dial.
News Talk 1450 WOL AM, where information is power.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Vernon Oakes, and the program is Everything Co-op. And we have two people on the day from the Philippines, Noel Raboy and Donna Dizon, and they represent an insurance company of 4,000 cooperative members. It's a co-op itself. Donna and Noel, we've been on the air now. This coming October will be 11 years on the air once a week talking about co-ops. Wow. And the National Co-op Bank has been our main financial supporter. And NCB's mission is to support and be an advocate for America's cooperatives and their members, especially in low-income communities, by providing innovative financial and related services. And they were created in the 80s because co-ops couldn't get financing, like you all were created 71 because co-ops couldn't get insurance. Yeah. Often co-ops are created when the capitalist organizations can't figure out how they can make sufficient dollars, or there's some other hindrance. Like in co-ops, too often in these low-income communities, people didn't have the collateral that was needed to get the financing, and so they had to find other ways. And one of the major collateral and I hadn't thought about this until I started doing this show, that people have in low-income communities is relationships. But that's awful hard to quantify and say, because of relationships, that's worth $500,000. You can say a building is worth $500,000, or this is how much you got. And that's one of the reasons, these relationships, that a lot of the financial institutions in the U.S., people don't default. They default very, very low. And that's also one of the reasons co-op businesses don't fail, or at least it was one research said that 90% of co-op businesses are still in existence after 5 years, where only 10% of capitalistic businesses are still in existence after 5 years. And that fifth principle is one of the reasons, in this relationship, working together, wanting to lift each other up, not letting each other fail, and also pay back, because if you pay back NCB or some other institution, then they can loan money to other co-ops. So there's this whole commitment of this cooperation among co-ops to make these institutions work. Have you found, I want to come back to you, Donna, in a minute, but I want to ask Noel a question. Have you found this the same way in the insurance business in the Philippines, that people do everything they can to make sure they don't have a claim, because they want to make sure that claims is highly successful for generations to come?
The situation, the cooperative model is very effective with us, because our policyholders, our owners at the same time. And in case of the more we pay claims, the more we will be competitive. That's why we created a cooperative insurance than the commercial insurance, because there are some biases within us. A bias wherein the profit is secondary. Our main objective is to support how fast we can pay claims. And in case of bad accounts or not good business, it's easy for us to tell, can we increase the premium a little? Or because and cooperation among cooperatives, it is well practiced in the insurance, because if nothing happens in that city here, but something happened like in Hayan, in Leyte, but in Luzon, nothing's happened in Luzon, so premiums are being used to pay off claims. Sustainability and make the organization grow depends to the membership of clients, the primary cooperative. So we can always say the business is owned by the cooperatives, the insurance business is owned by the co-ops. At the end, they are also our strength, how we can support and innovate products. So the products that we have in claims is more likely they are customized, highly customized depending on the needs and affordability. That's how flexible the cooperative model is all about.
Fantastic.
So there's no such thing as going down unless co-ops will not support us.
Okay. And Donna, I want to come back to, we have climate change is a major issue. And I have it, Noel, that co-ops, main function, main reason for existence is its members. So it's members first, and then planet second, and profit third. So it's people, planet, profit. Profit's important, but it's not the main thing. We're in a capitalistic business. They have 3 P's also. It's profit, profit, and profit. All 3. Okay. So here we're talking about the planet. Major issue with climate change. What is Climbs doing, and the Co-op College of the Philippines? What are you doing to mitigate, to help support, to figure out this whole climate issue?
Yeah, so I'm building on what Sir Noel mentioned on the challenges on climate action. So I think the main thing now is how we build resilience in the cooperatives, and not only the co-ops, but also the communities where they are present. So there is a thrust for co-ops for 2030 in support of the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. And then when we decided in 2019, when we crafted our 5-year strategy, that we really need to be focused on the Sustainable Development Goals that where our competence is. So for example, because we are in the insurance industry, in the insurance business, and we insure our members, it is just like, telling them that how do you mitigate risk aside from, selling the products, because mitigation, risk transfer is a mitigation side, but also we wanted to educate them. So that's how we come in. We conducted several training, creating awareness, knowledge sharing. But specifically, we created the product that is the innovative solution. It's a holistic approach and a breakthrough product, which is the parametric insurance. It's never really much unheard of in the Philippines, but nothing has been so successful. But we can say right now that the cooperative model provided the platform because it's an organizational commitment that you want to protect your farmer members. And so we offered the first weather protect insurance back in 2021. So it was in the time of pandemic. We're challenged by, it's a global crisis, but we're also beset with other climate challenges. That's why we said, okay, back in our offices, we do virtual meetings with other global partners and those with the expertise in blockchain technology, fintech, and space data modeling. And with the help of the federation, the Global Federation, ICMIF, the Insurance Cooperatives and Mutuals Insurance Federation, they were able to connect us with other partners such as the Ibiza and the Global Parametrics, and we have also SIA that does all of these things in support of the vision that the management wanted to do on how to tackle climate change. So first, we have the ongoing education on climate action, supporting the SDG 13. And then secondly, we have that product. So we just don't, educate people, educate our cooperative members that, hey, there's a climate change. How do we address it? But we provide the solution for that. And that's the Weather Protect Insurance. So I think that's something that has also gained some attention from the global community, like the UN, DRR, UN Office Space Agency, and Climes has been invited in several occasions just to, tell the world what we're doing and how we can, in our little ways, how are we making that impact and replicate it elsewhere. So that's our main contribution to the co-ops for 2030.
Fantastic. Now, Noel, you're the salesperson. You came up to the sales rank. Now you're the CEO and president of Climbs. So I have a property. It's in D.C., but let's assume it's in the Philippines. It's on one of those little islands. Okay, it's 60-unit building. What kind of weather product protection insurance would you all offer this kind of a building, and how would that work?
We have a standard insurance, the drill insurance, with allied peril that can protect against fire and lightning, and also with the weather, flood and typhoon. No? So we have that standard insurance product in the Philippines. So you can insure. That includes also the contents of the property in case of flood, if damages will come in. And access of insurance is we have this Climbs Insure Tech that is available in the iOS or Play Store, that our member cooperatives can upload and buy it there online. Or you can, as a member of the cooperative, you can also go to your co-ops who are partners of Climbs, that you can get your policy and buy also. Or maybe if I know you can afford, but in the Philippines, if you cannot afford, then co-ops can have an access for you for a loan of your premium, so that you can pay to the co-ops the monthly premiums of your insurance. But the cooperative who are owners of Climbs selling that insurance product will pay Climbs. Then there's a profit for co-ops who will sell our products and services through management fees.
Oh, fantastic.
And then the missing link there also is, the last one is, if you have claims also, if anything happened on your property, you go to the co-ops, you bring your documents to the co-ops, and the co-op assurance center that we have in the co-ops will be the one to process it for you, to connect the Climbs sales office and other offices that we have, so that claims will be given to you according to past claim settlement that we can pay to our policyholders.
So where does the weather protect insurance come in? Is that a separate rider?
As of now, our Weather Protect Insurance focus on farmers. It's a portfolio of the loans. So if in the cooperative, primary co-ops, if there are farmers, let's say they have a portfolio of 1,000 USD, so if they will insure that against excess rainfall and wind speed, and then in case that there is typhoon, insurance will come in on parameters that we assume if excess of wind speed and rainfall, then clients will pay within 10 working days
Wow.
to the cooperative, and the co-ops will pay out to their farmers. So we are not yet there on the individual insurance for weather protect for our climates, except for the standard insurance. What Donna said about weather protect insurance, we focus as of now for the portfolio of the farmers. But soon we are developing a program, an insurance program like weather protect insurance that focus on loans availed by a micro or small medium entrepreneur, that he can buy insurance, weather protect insurance with us, so that in case of those two triggers right now, with a drought, a separate policy, then clients will pay to the cooperatives. It's a meso level insurance.
See, I was always concerned that with climate change, whether it's drought or windstorms or wildfires, typhoon, floods, that it will bankrupt an insurance company with all of the payout. How do you protect that you all can help the farmers in paying them out, but at the same time not go bankrupt?
That's why we need partners on the reinsurance. So we have a modeler. The model is from clients. We are in direct insurance. So we sell insurance to the farmers through the cooperatives. Then if that portfolio is too big already, we pass it on with our reinsurer. So we have a reinsurer to protect against fragmentation, big claims. So we retain only as of now, because Philippines is too risky. We maintain 20% of the risk. Then we pass it on the 80% to our reinsurance. And then this is unique because we have another partner, the Ibiza, is the one who checked the model that it's not all the time we will pay, but through science, historical data, they make it sure that the excess of rainfall and wind speed is due to this climate pattern. We call that now as climate change, that it changes the severity of the typhoon or wind speed. So we don't assume all the risk, Vernon. We manage our risk through reinsurance also.
And can I add
Yeah,
something?
please.
I want to add something important on that point, because that was also our challenge in the first year. Like, for example, a certain province is not hit much, is risk averse. So, I mean, not really being hit by typhoons that much with a certain province. So, there we told our cooperative members that we exercise the value on solidarity. So, I think that's also one important point in the cooperative business model, because when everybody owns it, then everybody shares the profits and all the risks, sharing the burden and all of the victory. So, and when we say that, then they get the point. So it's not a difficult thing, like a challenge for a private company to come in and sell that or tell that. But for cooperatives, it will be easy if you invoke the values to say it's solidarity. So we have to protect each other. So I think that's a difference when we introduce something very new.
Fantastic. So I've just got a new reason for cooperation. It's very similar, but now we're doing the insurance, starting out mutual aid, and now insurance, but then this major issue that the world is facing, in climate change and all of the issues that it brings on, all of the problems, including death, but property damage and death. Okay. What does the future look like for Climbs? What are some of the things that you all have going that you're wanting to protect as maybe we can get the CO2 out of the air and we can bring it back down to less windstorms and typhoons and stuff. But what do you see the future?
On Climb's position itself right now as a climate insurance, so we will develop more climate insurance products using the principle also of cooperation among cooperatives or other partners that we have. We will involve also the government. In the Philippines, there's only one agriculture insurance that's owned by the government. We want to participate also on the pooling of the risk using the model of parametric insurance because we believe that's the only way that we can support our farmers. And second also is we would like to scale this one to the young generations using the climate mutual fund. So we will be something like partnering with advocates of climate change and on the access of the loss and damage fund so that the Filipinos will be not too dependent on doleouts, but there should be an equity, there should be self-help and self-responsibility once you as part of the cooperative values that we have. So what we can see in the future for clients is we will able to practice more on these values and principles, how we can help Filipinos and how we can also support the government, especially the issue of food security. And through cooperative model, we always believe an education that the loose or the strings that can tie up together on that model when you talk about co-ops is how we practice on it. The challenge now is how we share it and let co-op leaders, the new generation, can embrace that values and principles. So education is is the key also there for our success as a Filipinos.
So you just mentioned, we've mentioned throughout this conversation the cooperative values, the value of self-help, self-responsibility, democracy, equality, equity, and solidarity. So you all have talked about self-help, self-responsibility, and solidarity, but equality, equity, and democracy have been all throughout this whole conversation. I always found it interesting with these values that we start with self. How do we take care of self, help ourselves be responsible for our actions, but do it in a solidarity fashion, in a cooperative fashion, in a sort of a community fashion? How do we help each other in this solidarity? So it sounds like you're saying for the future is just doing more of the same and figuring out how we work together and take care of self and the community. Did I get that right?
Yes. In the developing country like the Philippines, sometimes the government programs and supports is more political. And in case of calamities, in case of typhoon, then, well, government is there to support and help. But if we always give dole-outs, communities will become dependent on that. So they will not, move according to how you can help yourself. So we want the cooperative model that it should not be abused, the support of the government, but as a person itself, using that self-help, you have to help yourself to aspire more and be responsible on what you are. But you have to put also an equity, or which is you have to put a premium also on what you are doing, so that psychologically, so that you can be more, not be dependent on other government agencies, but way to survive is helping each other through that. No, that's how solidarity will come in. So that motivates how we work in the cooperative movement by this model.
So, Noel, I have a question for you. With your background in education, in sociology and anthropology, well, let me say it a different way. my view is this cooperative model is what have brought us out of the dark ages, out of the, when we look at tribes going back and forth and working, you had to work together in order to survive. No matter if it was dinosaurs or tigers or whatever was what could eat you up. If we didn't work together, we would not have survived. Is that what you found in your study of sociology and anthropology, that at the core of humanity is cooperation?
Yes, definitely. No man is an island, as you said. We need one each other. But somebody should inspire, and by inspiring it to be transparent on what you are doing. You are a model also on what you are doing. So, way to become more sufficient country or more uplifting also the lives of the people, we need to inspire them that we have to work together. The Philippines is in the sweet spot population with an average of 25 years old. And this is now our best time that working together, this working class, helping each other, we can build more. And that's, I think, as a sociologist point of view, that inspiring young people to join in the cooperative and leaders also in the co-ops will give open space, and a space that these young people will entice to join. Why? Like in the Vernon, like in the community development program or the concern for the community, if I am a senior high school student, or at that age, is already the community, already about what are the situations in that area. But if that person will experience also in the cooperative, in the community, in the involvement, like involvement on volunteerism, not just during typhoon or calamities, but volunteerism on some other aspects that can help those who are vulnerable. So not everything has a price. Volunteerism is something that you can give without asking results and without recognizing what you're doing. And through that model of cooperation, we can have that as a model for success.
Fantastic. So Donna, with that, I want to ask you, what message would you like to leave people with as the CEO of the Cooperative College of the Philippines?
So we have been talking about the values and principles in everything that we do. In the Philippines, we have this cooperative pledge. And a line of that says, "Alone I am weak, but with others I am strong." So I think that's the point that I want us all to think about when we go back. I mean, for us, go back to our home country, and to the listeners, that in the age where so many things have been said about diversity, equity, inclusion, the cooperative model has been there for centuries. So I think what we need to do is being relevant in the age that we are. We must not drift away from the values and principles, and belong in the longingness to be in the community is where we are in the cooperatives. So that's what I want to share, Vernon.
Thank you. And Noel, do you have anything to add in our last minute? Do you like to leave people?
I would like to thank Vernon of your program, Everything Cooperatives, and also with Miss Cathy and Do, also with Alex and the rest of the Christy is very fascinating with us today. And from the cooperative movement in the Philippines, headed by our chairperson, Father Elmo Manching of Clives, we are very thankful for your warm accommodation and bringing us also our voice here in Washington, D.C. through your program, and to the rest of the world. Thank you very much for that.
Maybe we can invite them. Oh, can I invite everybody on the summit? We're going to have a Global Cooperative Climate Summit. That's the first summit that is an inaugural program that we set up with Climes and the Co-op College. That will be on November 28 to 30 at Thailand. So we will be bringing all the thought leaders, and it's a good chance also to network with colleagues talking about climate action. activities in the cooperatives. So,
Oh, fantastic. And I'd appreciate it if you would send us the link so we can send it out to
Yeah,
our
please.
email. November
Thank
28th through 30th. That would be a good time for me to come to the Philippines, too. Okay. Everybody.
I'm going to go back to the
Everybody out there, we'll see you next Thursday. We would like for you to live cooperatively, because if you're alone, you're weak, and if we're together, we are strong. Let's be strong. See you next Thursday. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vernon.
Have a great day. Bye.
The preceding program was paid for by Everything Co-op.